Mr. Parker, could you please call the roll?
Ms. Daniels. Here. Ms. Davis.
Present.
Ms. Green. Mr. Jones.
Here.
Ms. Rawls.
Here.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Present.
And Ms. Hill.
Present, thank you. We have a lengthy agenda this evening, so I'd like to get started with the work of the Administration Committee. We have one bill and two resolutions for discussion this evening. We will begin with Bill 9 of 2025. Mr. Parker, could you please read it into the record?
Bill 9 of 2025, an ordinance for giving and discharging 2023 city real estate taxes, including interest, penalties, and costs, and striking off tax liens for certain historically tax-exempt properties.
Thank you. Who from the administration is present to discuss Bill 9 of 2025? Okay.
Good evening. Bill 9, we've done a couple, I think one other one of these this year. I think in 2022 or 2023, Dauphin County started a recertification program for all 501c3 properties. So what happened is basically some of the churches missed the deadline, and so in the interim, they were assessed taxes when they have historically been tax exempt. So this is one more that we have. I should add that there are 4 more left out of the original, I think 15 or 16 we had. So we probably will see another one of these come down. But this one is just to forgive the 2023 taxes for Luz y Esperanza Iglesia, which is the church that eventually got their paperwork in. And so now we're just retroactively forgiving those 2023 taxes. The letter attached shows that the other taxing bodies, Dauphin County and the school district, have done so as well.
Thank you. Thank you for the overview. I don't have any questions. I remember us taking action previously on this. I'll open the floor to my colleagues who may have some additional questions. I'll begin with Councilwoman Daniels. Do you have any questions? No questions. Thank you. Councilwoman Davis, any questions?
No questions for me.
Thank you. Vice President Green, any questions?
I don't have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman Rawls, any questions?
No, I don't have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Rodriguez, any questions?
No questions for me. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Jones, any questions?
In uniform, no questions.
Okay, thank you. If there are no further questions or comments related to Bill 9 of 2025, I move to add Bill 9 of 2025 to our next legislative session agenda for a formal vote. Next, we have Resolution 54 of 2025. Mr. Parker, could you please read it into the record?
Resolution 54 of 2025, a resolution authorizing the City of Harrisburg to serve as the project sponsor for the Pennsylvania Department of Transportation, PennDOT, Transportation Alternatives Set Aside, TASA, grant awarded for the Capital Area Greenbelt Association, CAGA, in the amount of $1,435,400 for the Paxtang Parkway Trail Restoration Phase 3 project, and to enter into all required agreements to administer the funds.
Thank you. Good evening. Who from the administration would like to begin discussion on Resolution 54 of 2025?
Well, I'm here for the administration. Sam Sikorsky, interim business manager. Joel, you want to introduce yourself?
Joel Sater, city engineer.
Deborah Rehart, senior project manager, facilities.
And my name's Scott Shepler. I'm the Parkway Restoration Manager, Program Manager for the Capital Area Greenbelt Association.
Thank you.
No problem. Okay. So this is a grant that was already received by CAGA in the amount of $1,435,000. The Law Bureau and myself and Joel, I think, met with Doug Hill back in a couple months ago. And they don't have the ability to administer the grant through the state system. So they're asking the city of Harrisburg to take over administration of the grant itself. So I'm just talking about from that perspective. So it's $1,435,000, and we'll take over the administration of the grant from here on in, assuming city council approves it. Do you want to talk about the grant itself more?
Sure. This is the culmination of the Parkway restoration. This particular grant will pave the 2/3 of the parkway that are to the south towards Pakistan. Another resolution that we have to discuss later deals with the first third. So the money's in place, and we just need to execute at this point to finish up. I think the first third probably in 2026, and the final 2/3 in 2027.
I do want to make one comment. There is no local match to the city for this particular grant, so I do want to mention that. So, Joel, do you have anything you want to add?
No, I guess the only thing I would add is that there's really no cost to the city other than my time in administering the grant on behalf of CAGA.
And just for clarity for the record, the total amount is $1,435,400.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No worries.
That's correct. Thank you. We have it in our documents as well. Thank you. I don't have any questions. Very familiar with the phases and with CAGA, the restoration project. So I don't have any questions. I'll open the floor to my colleagues. I'll begin with Councilwoman Rawls. Any questions on Resolution 54 of 2025?
Good evening to you all. I don't have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Rodriguez, any questions?
Thank you, Madam President. Thank you all for joining us this evening. As Madam President stated, I'm very familiar as well with what we're speaking on tonight, Resolution 54, so I have no questions for anyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Jones, any questions?
No questions.
Thank you. Vice President Green, any questions?
Thank you. I don't have any questions for you.
Okay. Councilwoman Davis, any questions?
Good evening. No questions for me.
Thank you. Councilwoman Daniels, any questions?
No questions. Thank you.
Thank you. So if there's no further discussion, no further questions, I move to add Resolution 54 of 2025 to our next legislative session agenda for a formal vote. The final resolution for discussion within the Administration Committee is Resolution 58 of 2025. Mr. Parker, could you please read it into the record?
Resolution 58 of 2025. A resolution authorizing the city of Harrisburg to petition for and support the appointment of Midtown Asset Consulting, LLC, as receiver over the residences at Governor Square, to enter into all required agreements with the receiver and to appropriate and expend city funds as necessary to stabilize, restore, and preserve the properties subject to reimbursement.
Thank you. Good evening. Who from the administration would like to address Resolution 58 of 2025?
The Law Bureau will speak on it. We do happen to have the appointed receiver here. I'll just give a brief overview. As we stated last week in the legislative session, the Law Bureau was in court on Friday for an oral argument. We presented a proposed stipulation. Counsel for the current owner proposed one as well. Today, we got hot off the presses the actual court order. I would mention that Mr. Heinley was appointed as receiver, Midtown Asset Consulting, LLC. So he can answer any questions. I did, just for your information, if anyone's interested, bring you all copies of the fresh court order. We are still vetting it to see what portions of the order are what we suggested as opposed to what opposing counsel suggested. So we will keep you appointed on that. I did look to see, though, City of Harrisburg will be fully reimbursed for any monies they spend, which I know is important to everybody. So that is the overview of it. Mr. Heinley is here, so if you have any further questions about the duties of the receiver or what he intends to do, you could direct those directly to him.
Thank you. Good evening. If you don't mind taking a few minutes to introduce yourself.
Sure. My name is Justin Heinley. I'm the sole owner of Midtown Asset Consulting. Some of you may know me by my affiliate company, Midtown Property Management. We've been in business since 2019. I have my real estate broker's license in Pennsylvania, lived in the city for 15 years, and very active in the community. Neil approached me for this opportunity about 6 to 8 months ago, and it was a challenging opportunity, but we're looking forward to it. Our mission in our affiliated business is to manage properties with integrity and respect for our tenants, our owners, and our community. And this aligns with who we are as a company and as members of our community. We have a number of individuals that work for our affiliated business that will be supporting us in this endeavor that are city residents as well. So it is very important to us, and we are humbled and honored to have been selected for this position.
Thank you. So basically, just if you wouldn't mind sharing some of your intentions with this property.
Sure. The global intention with the property is to ensure that we restore all 222 units to a code-compliant condition. This is going to be no small feat. Some of the properties are beyond condemned and may require demolition and reconstruction. We have proposed a 3-phase plan to get us there. The first phase is going to be the first 6 months. That's going to be concerted efforts on life safety and ensuring that we secure the property, that we access every unit and put together an entire budget and plan for restoration. That plan will likely go before the judge, and as well as working with the city for approval. After we get through with phase 1, then we'll actually start the implementation of that approved plan. The first 2 years of that plan is just to get us financially stable. That's to restore what we can with the money that we have to be able to get the property to a financially neutral position, and then move us into the third phase of the plan, which will ultimately get us into capital improvements, where we'll seek out large grants and other opportunities for funding to be able to continue the restoration. But first and foremost, our job here is to make sure that the residents are safe, they're provided clean, quality housing to the best of our ability, and maintain that property the way that it should have been from day one.
Thank you. And just one more question. The length of the plan, you mentioned the first 2 years. Is this a 5-year plan, or what's your guesstimation on the prepared phases?
We are prepared for this to be a 10-year plan.
Okay.
We will know after the first 6 months what this is going to look like. We're confident that after the second phase, we'll get financially neutral, and at that point, decisions will have to be made as to whether, at that point we have an opportunity for sale to be able to provide it to a qualified partner who'd be able to take the property from there, or we do it ourselves and continue on to make sure that we restore the property entirely before ultimately bringing it up for a sale.
Okay. Thank you. I have more questions, but I want to make sure that my colleagues have ample time to ask questions as well. I'd like to begin with our Building and Housing Committee Chair, Councilwoman Davis. Do you have any questions regarding Resolution 58?
Thank you, President Hill. Good evening, Mr. Heimlich and everyone. Just one question as I read through the project, the phases and everything. Is the operating revenue the rents that the tenants are paying? And who will be collecting the rents as you're working on the property?
So HUD currently has not allowed the current property management company to be released Therefore, Wynn Residential is the qualified HUD property manager that is currently has staff on the ground that will be doing collection of the rent and the initial maintenance per their contract. We will be evaluating that contract and their contributions based upon the amount of money that they charge. But I can tell you at the moment that there is minimal collections. So
Thank you.
the money that is coming in will be coming from rent collection, but yes.
Okay. Now you mentioned, was that Wing Residential?
Wynn, W-I-N-N.
Wing Residential is collecting the rents currently.
Yes.
Okay. Do we know how much money is coming into that property for the rents now, or anything?
Yes, the current rent roll is $46,382, of which, of that, only about $39,000 was collected. Currently, there's a balance of $838,000 in delinquency.
And the 46,082 is for the year,
That is a monthly billing total.
monthly? Okay, so Wind Residential is collecting this money currently. Is there anyone else that's kind of a second party to the bankroll, or?
As a part of the order, we have been given full access and rights to all accounting, including bank accounts as well as property management software. We are going to do a full reconciliation, and we are going to monitor every financial transaction that the property management company takes.
Okay, thank you very much. That's it for me for right now.
I just wanted to add to Councilwoman that if you look through the order, the duties and responsibilities are very specific and clear of what the receiver can and can't do. So it's laid out, all of that is in the signed order that we gave you.
Okay, I think I'll need a copy of that, though.
I need, yeah, you need one more. I'll make sure you have it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman Daniels, any questions?
Yes, so as the receiver, like, what is your capacity in terms of staffing for handling all of this?
So as the receiver, we have rights to enter into any contractual obligations. So at the moment, the contract for the property management is intact. And as a part of that, there are 2 staff members there on site that are part of that contract, one in an office manager capacity and one in a building maintenance capacity. Our goal is, after the first 6 months, to evaluate that contract, to understand their contributions and other alternatives that we can employ to be able to reduce costs and be as efficient as possible with the minimal amount of income that we have.
So are they like full-time, part-time, independent contractors, they're employees?
They are employees of Wynn Residential, and their contribution to Governor Square is back-billed through the rent that's collected.
And is this, so will you be the person who's responsible, or is there are there other people who will be kind of co-responsible with you?
Yeah, so I had mentioned I have an affiliate business, Midtown Property Management. We also have a financial consultant that we are likely going to bring on to be able to administer these roles. In full transparency, I mean, the goal would be, to either work with the property management company that we have or find an alternative where, we potentially could do it ourselves, become HUD qualified to be able to streamline all of the costs and operations under the receiver. That way, the goal would be to hire people that are Harrisburg City residents, that would be full-time employees there, that would focus solely on Governor Square. And the staff that's there right now is actually split between the townhomes at Governor Square and Governor Square. And a significant portion, if not all of their time, is spent on the townhomes. and we will make sure that we adjudicate that appropriately as to the amount of time that they're spending with us and the amount of payment that we're making.
I think that's it for me. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Vice President Green, any questions?
Thank you, President Bowers. Just kind of looking over this, I have a couple of questions. I guess I'll just start with just a monetary amount. The city put forth $250,000 out of the revenue recovery funds that started off as ARPA funds. And then the receiver will get a flat fee of $12,000 per month for phase 1, and then $10,000 per month for phase 2, and then $8,000 per month for phase 3, outside of simultaneous accounting fees, correct?
Correct.
As far as reimbursable expenses, that's like to actually fix the property up, if I'm correct? All right. Ballpark, what are we looking at? Because that can be way more than the $250,000. And so, I mean, we're talking about, it can go into the millions, to be honest, for the condition the property's in. So have you created an estimate on what you think it would cost to completely renovate the properties and get them back to where they need? Because obviously then we have to look at the offset of selling the property, right? If it will be sold, if we spend more to fix it than it costs to sell it, then the city kind of and the residents end up footing that bill. So just trying to come up with some figures here.
Absolutely, yes. I believe that phase 1 is going to give us concrete answers to that. Back in the early 2020s, a financial analysis was done on the property that concluded somewhere in the upper teens in millions is going to be required for full restoration of the entire facility. The $250,000 was merely a starting point to ensure that we had enough seed money for administrative and life safety. And then obviously the money that's coming in from rent collections and actually going after and making sure that we are able to receive the money that we're entitled to from residents is going to also pay for some of the activities that are going on. We've already started having meetings with members of the community to get us engaged with grant funding and other opportunities to be able to do this. This is going to be a very long, very arduous task that I am confident that we will be successful. I know the city will get repaid. I am very confident that the city residents are going to be served in this evolution, but we just need time. Time is going to be what we're going to need to get through this.
Okay. I think that's the main question I had is kind of just the numbers, because I just don't want us to sign on for something. I mean, it needs to be done. I think we all agree that this is something that needs to be done, but we also have to make for sure that we're being cognizant of the overall cost that it will come to when it comes to the end, and make sure the residents don't end up on the hook subsidizing a property that ends up being sold, becomes market rate, and they get no benefit out of it other than having nice housing in the city for someone to make money off of. So that's kind of my main concern here as we move forward. Will there be reports given to council throughout this project? Because sometimes reports get given to the administration, doesn't get passed on in the day-to-day activity. So just want to make sure that council has the same level of communication so that we know what's going on, and it's not just, oh, hey, we need another $1 million because this needs to be fixed, and if we don't get it by tomorrow, the project ends, right? We get that, unfortunately, more than we'd like to. I mean, it should never happen, but we get it, right? Yes. So is there a way that we can get reports as council, whether it's via email or coming to meetings so that the residents know what's going on, because residents have been very invested?
Yes. Yeah, I absolutely, I look to be as transparent as possible through this process, meeting with both the administration and city council, as well as meeting with the city residents that live there, having public meetings, having them come attend so they can be engaged in this process as well. So I'd like this to be completely transparent as possible. I would just offer that the reimbursement for Midtown Asset Consulting is also able to be taken from the rent collections. So it's not just the city that's going to be on the hook, as well as the opportunity of being able to provide those funds back to the city through the rent collections as well. We can't make any guarantees. We need that money to be there, of course. There's a little bit of money in their trust account at the moment that can start us, but we completely understand that the money that we take to do this project is the city's money, is the city residents' money. It needs to be used diligently.
Thank you. And just last but not least, consider this a formal invitation to come to any of our legislative sessions to give us an update. You don't need to schedule ahead. You can come during the public comments period. If you would like to schedule ahead, we'd always appreciate that. We can put you on the agenda, but don't feel like, oh, well, I didn't talk to anybody, so I can't come. But we always would love an update, so feel free to come any legislative session. Thank you.
If I would, just one last thing, on the amounts. Harmony Tower just recently went into receivership. We base the fees off of that example. However, Harmony Tower is almost fully occupied, is not, crime-ridden or has substantial issues with it. So we fully understand and expect that we are going to spend far more time than what we're going to get compensated for, but we believe that that's part of our mission, and that's why we're here.
Thank you. Councilwoman Rawls, any questions?
Thank you, President Bowers. Sometimes in these meetings, we go a little quick, and I miss the name. So can you give me the name again and spell it for me?
Justin Heinley, Heinly.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, thank you for being here tonight, and of course, being willing to take on this task. Some of my questions were already answered, especially about the money towards admin and what those costs were and how that looked, even though we had already given $250,000, although that probably won't cover anything but a box of nails or something for the amount of work that has to be done there. And everything you said when you gave your introduction, I thought it was very caring, very understanding. You did sound like you had a mission for this project. And you touched on it a little bit with the residents when Vice President Green had asked a few questions. But I think out of all this, that's my biggest concern is how are the residents going to be communicated with? How are they going to feel safe? Just how are they going to be a part of this process more so than you giving me updates? I want to make sure they're being updated and being treated as humans through this process. So I just wanted to ask, two questions. What are some other projects that you all have been receivership on? You just mentioned Harmony Towers a little bit. And two, how are you going to make sure that the residents at Governor Square are still being treated as humans and are still getting, the work done in the building, but still feeling like they are a part of it?
Sure. To be clear, we are not the receiver at Harmony Tower. We just based some of the compensation as well as other things just to understand the market value of a receiver position.
Oh, thank you.
However, I think the receiver position at its core is strong ownership, strong leadership, and property management, which I think our affiliated company, Midtown Property Management, has shown time and time again throughout the city that we're committed to restoring properties and doing it humanely with the residents in mind. I was a part of the restoration of the Broad Street Market after the fire and the economic downturn that we had. And, through the leadership of Eric Haggerty and helping him, transparency was key, right? Having formal meetings, but also informal meetings that residents can come and be able to provide us with their perspectives, provide us with their concerns, and then genuinely act on those. I think it's one thing to listen, it's another thing to act and be completely transparent with them. We do plan on holding public meetings with them. And then I think the other thing is making sure right now all of their work orders go on deaf ears. I have confirmed that. And so making sure that they understand that we are here for them, that we are able to talk to them, and then anytime we have updates that we do that with a timely communication to all of our residents. And then just being available, right? I do intend on hopefully being able to have some office hours once we get the Governor Square office open again, as it should be, where residents can come in and be able to communicate with us in a genuine manner.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to know how that was going to be communicated with them.
We could add that a representative for the residents of Governor Square has participated in some of the
Okay.
talks and discussions leading up to the appointment of the receiver. So,
Okay, all right, thank you. And I definitely look forward to you coming back to communicate with us and keep us updated. So I feel like then we're all in the loop, and then it's not so much thrown at us at the last minute. like Vice President Green said, where we have to make such a quick decision, but we don't even know what's exactly happening. So,
My hope is in 6 months I can come back with some positive news. for you.
yes, even if it's in 3 months, we're here. Thank you. That was it for me.
Thank you. Councilman Rodriguez, any questions?
Thank you, Madam President. Thank you, Mr. Heinley, for joining us this evening. When we talk about Governor Square, I'm pretty sure you're aware of the undertaking that you're about to take part in. Just a few years ago, members of council, myself, we were up there at the town hall at Fair Housing, and to see the condition that some of our families and residents are in, I mean, to say subpar, that's an understatement. I've taken many trips up there, as well as many of my colleagues up here, and everything from mental health, coaching to children and youth assistance, anything we could do. I know I've been up there with the county several times, and it's still just a sad position to hear that it's taken so long for there to be an interjection, and I understand due to a lot of legalities is really not too much we were able to do, but I just wanted to make you aware that even to this day, some of those properties are beyond, repairable. As you mentioned, some properties may have to be demoed, but our families are still living in those currently. There's children in those homes, and some of those homes don't even have the complete bricks on the outside where when it gets a bit cold outside,
Yes.
there were some fires where, those electric heaters just couldn't have just due. So I just want you to be aware it's much more than an organization or a company taking this big process or these hurdles and jumping through it. As a receiver, there's a lot of families involved and people that depend on that, whether they can pay their rent or not. It's, I hate to say it this way, you're kind of the savior at this point. It's something that council has been fighting for a while. The mayor's office has been fighting for a while, but our hands have been tied for quite some time. I do have a few questions. Please bear with me. You had mentioned that Neil approached you. In your opinion, why do you feel you were approached and it wasn't an open process for potentially other receivers to take the property?
I believe it was a very open process in that Neil had made many, many phone calls prior to me.
Well, not phone calls. That would still be an individual reaching
Sorry.
out. When I mean like a process, something that was, kind of put out through media or different channels where other entities had the opportunity to get the building or become the receiver of the property.
I think and I can't speak for the government process on how to get here through a receivership, but what I can say is that the qualifications, the credentials, and the care that they were looking for somebody in this position, I believe there were not many people that fit that, but that also wanted to do it. There were some local leaders, some local business owners that were approached, all of which who respectfully turned it down based upon the amount of work. They had all talked to me after I said yes and said, are you sure you want to do this? This is a big lift, right? And I think that, the city has been my home, it's been my passion, it's been my love, and that's what's driving me to do this. If an open process would have brought someone better to the table.
Now, I don't mean as far as better, but we've mentioned transparency a few times. You yourself said strong ownership, strong leadership in what you do. I just believe the process of transparency is a part of what we do. Not just like, hey, I think this would be a good go, we should go this way. Even if no one was able to step up to it and get it, I believe in the process. Just to have the process, I think, would say a lot and speak volumes. Also, what are your plans for replacement of tenants as you work on the buildings? Will you be switching them around to finished properties or finished, because of course there's homes and then you also have apartments. Would you like to speak a little bit on that process as far as shifting them around a bit?
Yeah. Preservation of the tenants that we have there is paramount, right? It's actually a HUD requirement, but it's also the right thing to do. So the very first thing that I'll do once I get access to the keys is to visit every property that we know is occupied by a leaseholding tenant and talk to them, figure out their conditions, determine if what they have is salvageable, and if it's not, then their action is going to be figure out where I can put them in Governor Square that is going to be a quality housing for them. So each one of those residents up there, if they're listening tonight, know that they are going to have a home.
Will their rent maintain? Will there be, grace periods? How does that look? Just for the people watching, I don't know, but how does that look? Because for some families, that could be a reason to be pushed out, right? And maybe gentrification to the area. We want to definitely retain the families that are in the area and even uplift them, get them through different programs and perhaps one day home ownership. But what does that look like for you? You mentioned preserving the current tenants that are there, but like, is it in actuality? Is it something that you really can do?
Yeah, so there are HUD requirements for the limits that you can place on rents. So the goal would be is to find comparable units that those tenants then could move into that are able to continue about their lives in the same manner as they did previously for the same rent value. I don't think that, we're in an opportunity to take somebody from $750 and move them to $850 just because we can. That $100 is not going to mean much to the receiver's position as it does to the tenant's position.
Absolutely.
Right? And we are going to be respectful and understand that, in that, we want to be able to keep that resident there.
Now, if they have a family, would you try to accommodate the same amount of rooms, et cetera?
Absolutely.
Because those accommodations is huge, and that could be a reason why a family would leave if they get a smaller property. And are you speaking of current market value, or like if they signed their lease 10 years ago, would you stay within the parameters of that?
I don't want to commit to say absolutely, but I would say that we do not have a compelling reason to lose any tenants right now. Our goal should be is to keep as many rent-paying tenants there as we can, and barring maybe an administrative issue or something with the initial lease signing, I don't see any reason why we would not keep them at the exact same rate as they are, well within the HUD guidelines.
And once the properties are pretty much finished up, would they have the ability to move back, or would those properties just go up and they would stay and maintain where they are?
I think our goal is to build a relationship with the tenants, right? And during those consultations, our property management software allows us to take notes on the desires of each one of the tenants, and we'll make sure that we take that into account. I think that as we do this, there are probably going to be opportunities for us to have to move entire buildings from one location to another, the tenants that are in those buildings, and rehabilitate. I don't think that there's any reason why we would not offer those tenants first opportunity to come back to those locations. So I think there's going to be a very conscious effort to maintain their quality of life.
Okay, and then I guess this would be a legal question. Under other matters on line 34, the city shall be entitled to repay, but also in the same line, it also says, under no circumstances shall the receiver be responsible for the payment of such amounts. So who would be responsible to make sure the city's covered in that?
To my understanding, the receiver, like I said, has been put in place. The owners still exist. And if you go down further, it actually says even if we have to be repaid through the sale, but we don't expect the receiver to take on obligations and debts that are not his. So that's why it says in there that the receiver is not the person to pay us back. We would be paid back through rents or whatever, like he said, if that's possible. And if nothing else, up and through the time that a responsible HUD owner, buyer is found, then we would be paid through the sale if that's, the last resort.
So the receiver wouldn't really be legally binded. They'll just be the receiver of the property until it gets up and running, or a new owner pretty much comes abroad.
Correct, or whatever happens down the pike. But right, they're stepping in to save the property, so they don't take on the debts that,
Yep.
Right.
Oh, I understand completely. It's just the legal jargon a lot of residents are not up to or privy to.
Yeah.
So trying to explain it to them, I think
Right.
be much better from your office as they watch on YouTube right now.
Well, I apologize if I'm not saying it as clearly, but correct, yes.
I
that
had a
is
lot of
correct.
conversations with Neil on
Yes.
this, may I? Okay, I think the intention here was to ensure that the receiver is not able to take actions unilaterally that would not allow the city to be repaid.
Okay.
The repayment of that could be a number of things, where maybe we have a grant, right? And the first part of that grant was to pay back the $250 and then be able to then infuse the rest of that into capital improvements. The goal is, for me, is to use that $250 as almost like a line of credit. We will use a little bit of it, we'll give it back. Maybe use a little bit more, give it back. The goal is to make sure that the city is maintained whole at all times.
Yep, no, I completely understand. Just my dual responsibility to make sure I get these questions asked. So thank you for your time this evening, and thank you for your answers. No further questions.
Thank you. Councilman Jones, any questions?
Absolutely. So, just like my colleagues, this is first I want to say you're courageous for taking on this project. We can expect this to cost a whole lot of money to fix this property. But where I'm concerned, and I think some of my colleagues have expressed it, and I've also said to you, how is the city going to get its money back? There is no clear cut, even in the resolution it says subject to repayment. And if we're looking at the numbers, I think you just said 46,000 a month, is that correct? And you've only collected 36. This is going to be a problem, and this price is going to escalate. I'm just concerned about this project. I mean, we definitely know that we need it done. I've hosted cleanups, cut grass, and tried to board up this place myself just because of the crime and things that were going on in that neighborhood. But financially, this is a huge task, and I think we ran into that with some of the salespeople that wanted to buy it. First, they weren't HUD regulated to be able to even get in the position, but the amount of money that it's going to take to renovate this place, where you say one of the problems was you had to relocate some of the residents that are there. Are you taking any new residents? I'm sure you're not, right?
If we have the opportunity to have units that are livable that we can bring a tenant into, absolutely, we will.
Yeah, so maybe this question will be for legal, because one of the biggest issues with the owner that's just still in place, he owed the city upwards of $1 million or more, and we couldn't get it. So who's going to be responsible to give the city their money back? I mean, of course we want to take care of our residents, but I think this is going to be a hit. This price is going to keep climbing, and we need to keep a very close eye on it as council and as administration as well. We need to take a real close look at this. And again, I think you're courageous for stepping in. I think some of those other people were kind of wise to say no. So can you, any of you give any insight on how the city will receive any of these funds in reimbursement?
I mean, I honestly can. I think, this has been carved out around a bankruptcy that was filed by the owners. This is a plan that was the best we can work out for the residents at this time, being very mindful that the city, cannot just subsidize certain residents over the others, but to see the conditions that the people are living in at the time, this is what we can come up with at the time that is a best working result. That, as he said, if we can try to put in this minimum that helps build them to the next step, we don't expect to have to pay for all of it. The receiver is very experienced in property management, so we're hoping that some of the things they'll do will streamline costs. Of course, things will have to be demolished, rebuilt, people have to be replaced. There are regulations in place. This, we thought, is what we could put up right now to help get this all started. So
Yeah,
that's what I can speak to at the time for
That didn't really answer
in my pay grade.
That
I
didn't answer my
apologize.
question, but I think again, I hope my council is my colleagues are listening to this, because this is a serious matter. We know this is like object poverty up there right now. It's bad, and we can't foot the bill. We don't want to see our residents in the streets, but we got to get ourselves out of some things too. I really wish council was involved in this to help, foster some ideas, or, just work together collectively to see what other other answers we can come up with.
Well, I don't think that this is the first step, so I don't think it should bar council from being involved going further. If you have, ways to have more ideas, things, it's a collaboration. So because this is put in place doesn't stop you at all from continuing to collaborate and come up with ways to get it done.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, sir, if I may. There are going to be opportunities for us to be able to get grant funding and for us to be able to have opportunities to influx cash into this, not from the city. And that's really going to be our goal. Is the city needs to contribute some because it's our asset. But the goal really is to be able to get county and state funding to be able to support us, as well as use the cash flow that we're generating to be able to further prop ourselves up. I understand it's going to be a difficult process, but right now the $8 million grant that the city had opened up, right, had timing been a little bit different, potentially could have been an opportunity for us to be able to infuse cash into it. There will be other opportunities like that that we are going to be mindful of, and we're already meeting with other local community members to be able to pair up with them to be able to apply for these grants, to make sure that we are the most competitive as we can be to bring those dollars to this community. And I think the goal really, when we do that, is if we're able to bring in $1 million grant, the thought is that 250 of that should go to repayment of the city, and 750 would then go to the continued improvement. And the goal really is that the receiver, as well as any ongoing expenses, will be paid for by the rent collection, and then the capital improvements be made through grant funding that we'll go after.
Yeah, thank you for partially answering, like, how will the city receive some of its funding back? But there's still a concern, because when we're looking at what 47's doing with all of these cuts, and so we can't depend on these grants. We gotta, I just wanted to express my concerns, man, and hopefully we can continue. So one of the other questions I asked, you said 6 months. So as you begin doing work there and maintaining the property, again, just be clear, we're not questioning, at least I'm not questioning your ability to do this work, or your job, or your company to be able to sustain these properties. It's not my concern. My concern, again, is this cost, and within 6 months, how soon will you see that this is going to balloon and we're going to be in trouble?
I'm a glass half full kind of guy. I'm going to go into it with how are we going to find a solution, right? Growing up, I was always told there's always a solution, and we just have to find it. You may not like the solution, but we're going to get to it, and that solution is to care for our residents. So we are going to work our way through this one step at a time. I don't want to make any promises that I can't keep, but I know that after 6 months, I will have a very solid plan with a good understanding as to what we have and where we're going to be going. And I think at that point, I think to all of your credit, we should have an open dialogue at that point to say, the receiver's bringing forward a plan. We need to get the entire community. We need to get the entire city, state representatives, everyone involved, right? This is all of our citizens, and we welcome any support from you all that we'll be able to get as well.
Okay. I'm just going to keep a close eye on this. So you're saying, so we have to wait 6 months to figure out what we get to see. This is a roll of the dice, and I'll leave it there. No further questions.
Thank you, Councilwoman Rawls.
Yes, I did have some additional questions. I'm trying to think of just money-wise. And also, we just, no fault to anybody, we just got this today, so I didn't get to go through everything to see if my questions answered, and it's no fault to anybody, I'm just saying if I answer something that's in here, I'm sorry.
It came in at about 3 p.m.,
Yeah, so sorry if I
the
asked
solicitor
redundant.
hasn't even had a chance to really decide. Like I said, there were 2 proposed orders. We haven't been able to parse through yet to see what pieces were added in or not.
Okay, thank you. I just want to make sure I'm clear on something, then ask a question. So with each phase, you get paid a certain amount for there's an admin fee. In phase 1, I think or the company is it $12,000 a month, right? So it comes about like at $72,000 after 6 months. But if in 6 months, or we don't like the plan, or things aren't going the way they're supposed to, are we able to come out of the contract, or have we signed like a 5-year contract? I just wanted to know what the responsibilities were, just in case things don't go as planned and residents aren't getting what they needed, et cetera, et cetera.
I work at the pleasure of the court and the community. So,
Okay.
If after 6 months you're unpleased with my actions or my plan, I welcome the feedback first, hopefully, that we can be able to come to terms. And if we cannot, then I will understand and do as you say.
Okay. I'm gonna hold you to that.
I've always told every one of my clients that I'm here to earn their business every day. right?
Okay.
None of my contracts ever come with termination clauses or costs associated with it. I'm here to make sure that my actions and my results speak for themselves.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. And my other question was, and this may be thinking far ahead, but I have to in the sense of these are subsidized housing, apartments and townhouses for our residents who really need them. It's a good, 220 of them, I believe. What ramifications, I don't know if the legal will have this answer, or what's in place to make sure that, and I think we touched on a little bit, once they're updated and everything's looking good, I mean, they're looking like, $10 million, that it's not market value then, and these aren't taken to not be subsidized anymore. Is there anything in place for that?
Sorry, you guys are legal.
Yeah, well, the HUD, the HUD, it's
Okay.
in the deeds that you can't, that it's affordable housing. That's what part of the HUD is, so it's in the deeds of the properties.
Okay, I just wanted it to be said, because that's a question for a lot of people. A lot of people are very nervous that it's gonna be taken right from under them, and once it gets all spruced up and nice, or there's this background plan for it to be spruced up this way, so it can ultimately be sold and no longer be subsidized housing. And
I think HUD would have to remove their.
I thought so too. I thought there was
Subsidies
something
prior to
on there
bringing
that,
it-
but I
yes.
wanted to make sure it was said. I know this is not a recorded meeting because it's not our legislative session, but for the people who are listening, just to know that it can't just so easily be unsubsidized and
Correct.
taken to market value. Okay.
If I may, just,
Mm-hmm.
there is a sunset clause on it. I believe it's about 10 years from now. I believe that is one of the opportunities that we might be able to bring some parties to the table to extend that, to be able to then find some opportunities for funding. So I think we're going to use every opportunity we can.
Did
to
you mean a
extend
sunset clause on the receivership?
it. No,
on
sunset
the-
clause on it being
The market value or not? Okay.
Oh, so what you're saying in 10 years it can go up to market value?
correct. That's the way the deed is structured currently. But I think as we proceed through this, the goal is going to be to use that as an opportunity to extend it, to give favor with HUD, to then potentially be able to get some terms for additional financing.
Yes, because I know you said the project will take about 10 years. So
Yeah,
there goes where my questions at again. You see what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
that's where I'm nervous.
And I'll let legal counsel me later on this, but I believe the way that it works is that if there's no debt service being paid right now because there's no ability for the debt service to be paid. So that sunset clause, I believe, continues to push until you're able to make debt service coverage. I believe that's the way it works.
So, what you're saying is since it can't be repaid right now because of all the things that are happening, do years get tacked on, or the years don't keep going because there's no debt that they can be paid?
Yeah. We
I
take
could
that-
be saying it wrong, but
We could take that offline,
it's
but my
very
understanding.
choppy.
my understanding-
Okay. I don't get it. And if anybody could just give us clear, because that was, here and there for me, but that's the concern right there.
I would say we would look into
Okay.
the actual language of the sunset clause before we give out wrong information.
Yes,
So-
please. I was just about to say that. So, because I'm still thinking in my head that it would be an issue after 10 years. So, yes, if we can get some information, that would be lovely. Thank you. Thank you for trying to answer that question the best you could, but that is one of the main concerns. So, thank you.
You could put on the record that I have no intention of this going market rate.
Thank you. I appreciate that. That's it for me.
Thank you. Councilman Rodriguez?
Thank you, Madam President. Just real quick, Mr. Heinley, you had briefly mentioned you participated in the BSM restoration, the Broad Street Market. What was your role in that ordeal?
We were the property management company, and we work closely with the board in helping them with both financial and facility management.
For the brick building or the tent, or both?
For both, for the current operations.
So where do you feel the challenges are as far as actually getting that project completed? You understand, because that's another huge overtaking, and if you're saying you played a big role in the administrative part of that, that's not up. It doesn't really sit well on the belief that Governor Square is going to go any different.
Yeah, I don't believe that the Broad Street Market Alliance has jurisdiction over that project. I think that lies in other other members. You know, we did what we could with the financial obligations that we had and, you know, the securing of grant funding, and we brought the stone building and the tent up to a functional status with, you know, positive proceeds currently, with capital improvement funds in the bank, such that the market is in a very strong position right now for whenever the brick building does get completed. When that building gets completed is unfortunately out of our hands.
I appreciate the answer. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other questions? Comments?
Yes, President Bowers, just one more question, Mr. Heimlich. I want to make sure I understood this. Did you mention that this is going to take 10 years to restore to 100% occupancy?
That's our current projections.
10 years, okay.
Thank you. Given the conversation this evening and Councilwoman Daniels?
I have another question, sorry to interrupt.
No, you're fine. Go ahead.
Yeah, so this is for Love Europe. Could you, thank you. This is for Love Europe. Could you guys articulate the standards that you use in assessing the viability and the health of the receiver as you made the selection?
You would have to ask Solicitor Grover. He spearheaded the search for a receiver, like using people that he knew that were in the area, as well as, you know, a wider search. So I would have to defer to him. You can ask him at the next session.
Thank you, Councilwoman Daniels. As I was saying, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. I think my computer froze for that entire answer. So I'll just watch the video on YouTube to hear the answer.
Oh, there was no response.
I just said that I would defer to, your question is a personal one for Solicitor Grover, so I would like to allow him to answer.
I don't know if it's frozen again. Did you? Okay. Thank you. It's okay. Given the conversation and the questions that are still lingering, and then the receipt of the court order this evening, I'd like council members to have an opportunity to review the court order. I'd like the Law Bureau to have an opportunity to digest it, and for Solicitor Grover to respond to Councilwoman Daniels. So given that, I would like the resolution to remain in committee at this time. And then we'll move forward once questions have been answered and council members have time to review the court order.
I would just like to state, President Hill, that the resolution before you was really just for us to do what you.
The court has already
The
done.
order is the culmination of what the resolution was about. So, I mean, I understand there's additional questions, but it was just for us to be able to petition for a receiver, which we now have successfully done.
Okay. Well, if there are no additional questions, I will add Resolution 58 of 2025 to our next legislative session agenda. I will suspend the rules for additional discussion prior to our vote. If you wouldn't mind being here next Tuesday, we will begin at 6 p.m. in the event that council members have additional questions for you in your new role. And
Madam President,
yes.
would that, excuse me if I sound a bit ignorant to this, wouldn't that be pretty much taking the action before council even makes the vote, for the vote that council needs to take?
Well, I mean, I think the action has already been taken by the court, so this was just solidifying that action. Exactly. But I just wanted to make sure everybody had enough time to review the order itself and then to, if you had any additional questions in the interim.
Okay, I just didn't want to give the appearance of like us rubber stamping it.
No,
or
no, no,
work
no,
getting done
no,
beforehand.
no,
All right, thank
not
you.
at all. Okay, so I will, I move to add Resolution 58 of 2025 to our next legislative session agenda. As I mentioned, we will suspend the rules for further discussion prior to voting. This concludes the work of the Administration Committee. The next committee business you will hear lies with the Budget and Finance Committee. I will defer to our Budget and Finance Committee Chair, Vice President Green, to lead discussion.
Thank you, President Bowers. For the Budget and Finance Committee, we will discuss Resolution 50 of 2025. Mr. Parker, would you read it into the record, please?
Resolution 50 of 2025, a resolution authorizing the submission of a Dauphin County local shared municipal grant application of up to $250,000 to fund the renovation of the bedroom accommodations and bathroom facilities at Fire Station 1 located at 1820 North 6th Street.
Thank you. And who do we have from the city that will be speaking to this resolution?
Sam Sikorsky, interim business administrator, and I believe we have Chief Underline also. Chief, you there?
Yep, I'm here.
Okay.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Excellent. So this grant is being submitted on behalf of the Fire Bureau to renovate Fire Station number 1 to mirror what our ongoing project is at Station 2. These buildings were built in 1979, 1980, and we've done a lot of renovations over the last several years, last 10 years, roofs, HVAC, kitchens, and this is just another step in the direction for better living conditions for the firefighters. And the grant will be again for Station 1. Station 2, we are currently reviewing and will bring down to council probably next month our recommendation for hiring an architect to design what those bedrooms and bathroom facilities will look like.
Thank you very much. I don't have many questions. It seems pretty simple. Will this grant cover the total cost, or will the city still need to add funds to this?
So we will have to add some funds to it. I don't know what that's going to look like yet. Once we have the architectural drawings done, after we pick the architect, we'll have a pretty good idea because Station 1 and Station 2 are built off the same blueprints. So I would guess within a couple of percentage points, we'll have a good idea of what Station 1 will cost to get done.
Okay. Thank you very much. I don't have any further questions. I'm going to open it up to my colleagues. I'll start with our Public Safety Chair to my far left with Councilman Jones.
Vice President Green, how are you? Chief Underline, how are you, sir?
I'm well.
No questions. I see I have you back here for not so much the same thing, but very similar. So I don't have any questions. I pretty much understand what's happening here. So thank you, Vice President Green.
Thank you. Councilman Rodriguez, our former Public Safety Chair.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us, Chief, and thank you for joining us this evening. Chief Enderlein, when do you recall the last time renovations took place like that at on 6th Street?
Never.
Got you. Definitely needed. I just wanted to. I can't recall a time where there was, but those ladies and gentlemen definitely need the proper amenities to get the job done. So no further questions for me. Good to hear from you, Chief.
Thank you. Councilwoman Rawls.
Thank you, Vice President Green, and good evening, Chief Enderline. How are you this evening?
I'm doing well. I'm sitting in Massachusetts currently.
Oh.
I'm actually on vacation.
Okay, well, enjoy. Sorry to cut into it. I don't have any questions. I think more so I'm just concerned budget-wise, which this doesn't have anything to do with you, Director Enderline. But just, I know we just sat through and listened with the Governor Square, that's much needed renovations and updates and just a whole lot of things for the residents that's going to we don't know how much that's gonna look, and then we, also, we have a grant here, but we do have to give money towards it, but it's much needed at the fire station. So I think my biggest concern is just budget-wise, just having enough money. We just got ourselves out of debt. So, I don't have questions, just, I'm concerned about our budget. And I don't know if maybe Brian could come speak to us to let us know how we're doing, what these costs would look like, but I'm just very, very concerned about our budget. I don't want us to go back into debt. We must learn from our mistakes. So that is my number one concern with this resolution and with the resolution before this one. So 58 and 50 with our current budget. So if that can get answered at all, or given us any information to make sure that we're making some good, sound financial choices, I would appreciate that. And I'm sure the residents would too. Unless you,
Councilman Rawls, I can address that it's on several different layers. So, number one, our budget, we have been budgeting for capital improvements over the last many years. We've been doing it very slowly and very incrementally, so it's palpable for the city's budget.
okay.
So that's number one. And our budget that is going to be presented to council, barring any cuts at the administrative level, over the next couple of weeks, is very palpable for city taxpayers. And we have been very cost conscious as we do things. Not saying we're cutting corners, but again, we're doing them slowly as opposed to doing an entire renovation at one time. And then secondarily, because the city is in Act 47, we're not permitted to borrow any money anyway. So there will be no financing for this, because the city is not legally permitted to float bonds to
I get that.
complete these renovated projects. It would really be easier if we could do that, but Act 47 prevents us from borrowing.
Thank you, Director Interline. I'm still concerned, but thank you. I know we can't borrow. I'm still concerned.
Madam
That's it.
Chair, if I may.
Yes.
Councilwoman Rawls, traditionally, when an entity puts in for the Dauphin County Local Shares Municipal Grant, the Casino Gaming Grant, it's usually a matching. So ideally, we would get it returned, ideally.
Okay, that's hope. So. Thank you. I'm just gonna put my concern out there. That's it. Thank you. That's
Excuse me,
it.
if I may, there is no match required to this at all.
Okay,
Thank
There
you.
is no match.
Yeah.
So,
it's fine. Yes, he did say that. I thought I heard it wrong, but that's why I didn't say anything. But okay.
it may cost a little bit slightly more than the 250, but
Yeah.
there's no required match to the grant itself.
Okay.
Same way the LSA statewide.
I
match.
understand that part, and I heard there was no match, but we still have to put some, it's still money. I'm still concerned. So, and I'm just putting my concern out there just to make sure we're sound, because there have been some decisions made in the past that just haven't been good for us. We're in Act 47. So,
Mr. Sikorsky, what you're saying is
just saying, that's it.
we have a different provision with the shares grant than traditionally?
The LSA, whether they're local grants or statewide, requires no match.
Okay.
You can put money into it if you want.
Yeah. But
But that's your
usually you have to
choice.
submit for the grant. So after you spend the money or you allocate the dollars, you submit your receipts or whichever you expended, and the county repays from the municipal share grant. But I
This
could be
comes out of the
misspeaking.
local gaming grant.
Yes.
Okay, because of the casino up in Grantsville. Okay.
Yep.
So, but there's no match required. Now, if the project costs more than 250, then you don't have to do the entire project.
Well,
You
maybe
could stop
maybe
it.
the word matching is you have to expend the funds and then go after.
Reimbursable.
Yeah, technically, yes.
Is that
For the gaming grant, yes.
Can you come speak
Yeah.
on the microphone? That way
Yeah, because traditionally
people
that's.
listening can hear you.
Yeah.
The Dauphin County Gaming Local Share is a little unusual from almost every other grant that we apply for, in that if we want to, we can have the county pay our vendors directly, which almost no other grant allows us to do.
Yep.
Or we could do it reimbursable. So
So traditionally, it's the reimbursable, but is that the route we'll be taking, where we'll just submit the invoices to the county to pay the vendors?
we can do that. We certainly can, if that's
We
what.
just haven't decided yet.
Right.
Got you,
yeah.
okay.
And,
So
and
you
the-
meant
and we-
reimbursement, not matching.
That's
Well,
what I
Right.
meant,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay.
Either way, that works though, because it works like that with tourism as well. You can actually submit the invoice directly to the vendor.
And get the vendor
But
paid.
it takes some, I mean, we get the money back, but it takes some time now. We'll let you know. So it takes some time before you get that money back.
Sure
I mean, the
will.
nice thing about having the county pay directly to our vendors is that they actually often pay more quickly than we do, because they have a different process. So the
It's
vendors
not a
kind of
good
like
thing,
better.
Ms. Vollmer.
What's that?
That's not a good thing.
They're more organized.
But we could also do a mix. Like we could do, one payment that we do reimbursable, and we submit all the invoices and cancel check images, and then they pay us back. And then the next one we could just straight pay the vendor. So the county grants are difficult to apply for,
Yes.
but once you get them, they're
Yeah.
actually incredibly helpful and flexible about how we
That
use
was to
them.
Councilwoman Rawls's point. She just wanted to know where the funds were being expended from. So if we're going after where we just submit the invoices, then they'll be paying for it ideally, or it's a reimbursable grant.
Right.
Either route.
One.
Okay.
In this case, unusually, either it can be either one. And for liquidity purposes, it's nice to do the direct. If we
Thank
can.
you.
Yeah, sorry.
Thank you. Nothing else for me. I'm good. Thank you.
Thank you. President Hill?
Good evening. I don't have any questions. Thank you for clarifying, Ms. Ballmer, and thank you for joining us on vacation, Chief Enterline.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman Davis?
No questions for me. Thank you.
Thank you. And Councilwoman Daniels?
No questions, thank you.
Thank you, and thank you as well, Chief Enterline, for being here with us tonight, for taking the time out to make sure that what needs to be done with the city gets done. In the future, you can send somebody else. You don't have to come off a vacation. But thank you for being here.
I gave him his choice.
I'm in a position where, 9 times out of 10, the city must come first. So, I swore an oath to make sure that my guys and the residents are taken care of, and I'm upholding that tonight.
We appreciate that, and we appreciate your dedication. If there are no other questions, I'm going to recommend this move to our next legislative agenda. Thank you.
Thank you. The next committee business you will hear comes from the Parks, Recreation, and Enrichment Committee. I will defer to our Parks, Recreation, and Enrichment Committee Chair, Councilwoman Rawls.
Thank you, President Hill. Good evening again, everybody. Mr. Parker, can you please read Resolution 49 of 2025?
Resolution 49 of 2025, a resolution authorizing the City of Harrisburg to enter into a reimbursement agreement amendment with the Pennsylvania Department of Transportation to accept an increased award amount of $27,173 in transportation alternatives set-aside funding for the purpose of funding the Capital Area Greenbelt Paxtang Parkway Trail Restoration Project.
Thank you so much, Mr. Parker. Is there anyone here from administration who gives some more information on this award? Or
Yes, my name is Debbie Rehart. I'm Senior Project Manager with the Department of Facilities and Special Projects, and also City Representative to the Greenbelt.
Okay, good evening. Yes, tell us all about Resolution 49 of 2025. And good evening. Thank you for being here. I know we saw each other earlier.
Yes. So we had received a funding from PennDOT to do some work. This is paving work on the Paxtang Parkway, as Scott mentioned earlier. And the bids came in slightly higher than was expected. PennDOT will cover that additional $27,000, but we needed to do a resolution in order to accept that additional funding.
That's easy.
Yes.
We're getting money.
Yes.
Okay, so I don't have any questions. I saw it was an award, so, but if you want to add something.
So no match. I just want to make sure we get that.
No, I saw award, and that lit me up really sparkly there, because we don't have to get any money. But yes, no, I saw that. So I have no questions. I'll start to my far right with Councilwoman Daniels. Do you have any questions?
No questions, thank you.
You're welcome. Councilwoman Davis, do you have any questions?
You already clarified for me, no match, no other questions, thank you.
You're welcome. Vice President Green?
No, I don't have any questions, thank you.
You're welcome. President Hill?
No questions, thank you.
Councilman Rodriguez?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I mean, it's pretty much a no-brainer. I just wanted to get your opinions on why do you feel the bids came in higher? Was it maybe material inflation, tariffs, a little bit of both? What do you think played a toll in that?
I would imagine it's a little bit of both.
A little bit of both. Yep, that's happening nationwide, so.
Yes.
Yep. But thank you for being here this evening.
And Councilman Jones?
No questions.
Okay, thank you. That's it. You're all done. Look at that. And that ends the business of the Parks, Recreation, and Enrichment Committee.
What is your pleasure
So
for
I got so
Resolution
excited about that
49?
award money. Oh my goodness. We will be moving Resolution 49 of 2025 to our next legislative agenda.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Our final committee business this evening lies with the Public Safety Committee. I will defer to our Public Safety Committee Chairman, Councilman Jones.
Thank you, President Hill. Mr. Parker,
Yes,
can
sir.
you read Bill 8 into the record, please?
Certainly. Bill 8 of 2025, an ordinance amending Chapter 3-333 of the Codified Ordinances of the City of Harrisburg entitled Curfew, providing for an adjustment of hours of curfew for minors and increasing penalties for curfew violations.
Thank you, sir. And I see we have Commissioner Carter and Deputy Chief Young. Let's talk.
Good evening. Again, I'm Deputy Chief Young. What we're looking to accomplish by this would be to amend 3-333, which deals with curfew, with two things. It deals with the hours.
Excuse me, can you move the microphone closer to you?
Yeah, sorry.
That's okay.
It deals with adjustment of the hours for minors, anybody under the age of 18. It also deals with some increasing penalties for violations at second and subsequent offenses, so forth, so on. A little bit of background on this. Within the last year or so, with the issues we've had downtown, that's sort of kind of what we're aiming for this. Underneath the same ordinance, the commissioner has the ability to adjust those times, which he issued an order dated August 29th, which was effective on the 22nd, actually, which adjusted the time of the curfew ordinance in the area of the downtown, and that would be from Front Street, Chestnut Street, Commonwealth, and then Forester. What that did was the time was adjusted from 9 p.m. curfew until, so they couldn't be out from 9 p.m. at night till 6 in the morning. Again, what we're aiming to do is try to correct those issues. It seemed to have worked since this has gone in. We've seen less issues downtown with juveniles. So,
Commissioner, got anything? Nothing, just yet. So, first, let me say this: that again, when I was elected to this office, one of the things that I wanted to do was serve as a public safety chair. Like you, I have great concern for our residents and the safety of them in the entire city of Harrisburg, right? And some of the issues, not only myself, but some of the residents have, and questioning this ordinance in particular, that it's only covering the downtown area,
The ordinance covers the entire city. What he referred to is previously the commissioner put in a rule of enforcement, which he's entitled to do under the ordinance that covered the downtown area. If you read the ordinance, Bill 8, it's to change the times for the entire city.
Yes, I understand that it's read like that, but when it was firstly initiated, and per Mr. Grover himself said this was only for the downtown area. And that's something that he said, not that they did. I'm just talking
Well,
about.
like I said, I think, speaking to Mr. Grover, the first intention on a temporary basis was to allow the commissioner to exercise his right as a rule under the ordinance to change the hours as he sees fit in parts of town that he sees fit. We decided, so that order was done, I think he said August 29th?
It took effect,
22nd.
sorry. I'll learn eventually. It took effect on the 22nd. It was issued on the 29th.
Right. Now, the bill in front of you, though, is for the entire city to reduce the hours or to clarify the hours and the citation amounts for the entire city.
Yeah. So if I'm allowed to continue. So that was one of the issues about it just covering the downtown area. I'm just sharing what the issues are with some of the questions that not only myself, but some of the residents would like me to share with you as well. So that's why I'm stating what I'm stating. So the other issue, I'm glad, and I can see it clearly in the language that this is an ordinance for the entire city, but the way it came across from the press conference, it was just downtown. That's all we're hearing is downtown, downtown. So of course, naturally, people would think that's what this is for. So this is nothing but an opportunity for you to explain. This is a citywide ordinance that will be implemented. Now, one of the other concerns is, and this is definitely not just me, again, this is just the community as well at large. How do we know how we're going to approach? How is this going to be implemented? Is there going to be constant contact? We want to minimize as much contact with our young people as we can without them being a nuisance or causing any problems in the community. So how are you going to be able to decide if this is a 17-year-old? Because the 18-year-old, this curfew is not going to affect them at all, right? Now, there's charges that can be brought to them versus these curfews, this curfew. How will you be able to make that discernment of who is who? Can someone speak to that?
Yes, Mr. Chair. I think that can be made by just a conversation with them. You know, like I'm concerned for the whole city too, but at the time we were having a tremendous problem with the downtown area. When we were down there working, you know, juveniles were all over the place just doing everything. And we had drones up taking pictures of them, and, you know, we took guns off of them. We got guns out of cars and everything like that, you know. So what I did, we just felt a need to put a curfew down there just for that their purpose. But as the attorney said, you know, we did a curfew for the whole city. And the fines were raised. But let me say this here. The codified ordinance is just an ordinance. A district justice does not have to follow this. Okay, but we have to put something in place to maintain some sort of law and order with what our young people are out there doing. If my guys write a curfew citation, it can go in front of a district justice, and they just say, okay.
That's with any of our things that we have in place. This happens with parking tickets and everything.
But what I'm saying is that we'll have conversation with them. And if necessary, my guys will take them, if they're juveniles, they'll probably just take them home and just drop them off.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're not out there trying to hurt juveniles or juveniles' parents. We just want compliance, and we're just looking out for the safety of our youth.
And I get that. And I get that. And I'm glad you brought up the issuing of the increasing of the fines from 200 to 500. And I think it's now from 300 to 1,000.
Yes.
Woo. I mean, I know hopefully it's meant to be a deterrent, but I'm sure you guys know that our residents, $100 fine would hurt some of these people, right? It would hurt them. Go ahead.
But you're not listening to me, sir.
Okay. I am.
Thank you. When the DJs get the citations, they may make them $50 or just kick them out, you know. because as police, we can't make up fine and cost. Are you following me?
Oh, yeah, I know.
Okay.
But I'm saying, again, this is something that has to be enforced. I mean, if we're doing our job for police officers, again, there is that other side of the spectrum where you have to look at the district justice and see if they're going to do what they need to do when it comes to this. Are they going to follow our provisions, our ordinance, and implement these costly fines? And I'm just saying the cost of them itself on paper, it just looks, let me be honest with you guys. I was just looking at the press conference when you and the mayor were speaking, and some of the business owners that were downtown. For one, again, it did look like it was just centered for downtown. You made a clarity on that. My concern is, again, how are we going to approach these young people? We want to minimize as much as that. Do we know it's these 17-year-olds? It could be someone that's 20, just not old enough to go in and drink. You know, how do we make that discernment of who's who? And when we look at the language that was used around these conversations, I would rather see more restorative than punitive. It just seemed like if your kid is not there, if you don't have your kid with you, we're going to give you a fine. We're going to cite you, we're going to give you a fine. And I just think that we need to be careful. I think there's other approaches that I think that we could work on together, just using some of we pay for credible messengers. We can use some of those people. This is what's happening in Baltimore, you know, in their downtown nightlife. And I'm not even talking about all over the city. I'm just talking about some of the areas that show concern where the numbers were high with this activity with these young folks. They use residents along with law enforcement, but the resident, that credible messenger will be able to say something to this young man or young woman, hey, you know, the curfew is in effect, and redirect them without even having to have that police contact or interaction. But I think the residents are concerned, and myself included, is how are we going to discern who's 18, 17, are we doing stop and frisk, or, I mean, how do we get to this point? That's my concern and my question.
I think that you're reading too much into it now. You're talking about stop and frisk. That's totally different, you know? We're talking about a summary citation for curfew, just holding conversation with somebody, you know? And if they're 18 years old, they're fine. If they're 17 years old, 9 times out of 10, my guys who are already busy will say, young man, where do you live at? I'll take you home.
That's a solution. But again, my question, right now you're not listening to me. My question is, how do you approach it? So you're saying on a typical night, on a weekend, 9 or 10 o'clock, whenever hours you chose to implement this curfew, you're just going to be walking up to people saying, hey, how old are you? That's what I'm asking.
No, there are different reasons why we would approach somebody. You know, usually it's all from somebody calling in, you know.
With a description.
With a description or somebody saying, you know, hey, you know, it's loud noise or there's a bunch of kids outside on this corner, A, B, or C, you know. Basically, you know, we're not going to ride around looking for people to, like, stop. It's going to be on a call or something like that.
Well, that's all I was asking. How are we going to decide who's 17, 18? Use like just through conversation. And so when I use the stop and frisk, of course we don't want to use that. We've seen how horrible that was, right? But again, I think those are the concerns of myself and the residents here. They're really concerned about how do you discern that, and that's all. I just wanted you to give you the opportunity to share with the public on how that will transpire. So, and I'll come back to you guys. I don't want to hog this up. I want to open this up to my colleagues, and I'll start to my immediate right with Councilman Rodriguez.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, D.C. Young. Thank you, Commissioner, for joining us this evening. Being an educator for going on 4 years now, working with primarily at-risk youth, it's concerning, and not saying that's your intention. I just want to be very cautious that we don't violate anyone's constitutional rights. Of course, it wouldn't be stop and frisk, but to engage and say, hey, how old are you? That is kind of like cradling that line. What if, you know, maybe he's a minor but getting off work and just so happens to get caught into something? Do they now have to pay a fine because they were just...
No.
You get what I mean, though? How do we determine
I understand what you mean, but
decipher?
even in your ordinance, it gives, situations where if you're coming from work, that's fine. If you're coming from a school function, that's fine. If you're coming from a city sponsorship function, that's fine. If you have a note from your parents saying that you were over A and B's house and you're going home, that's fine.
Okay. And then I wanted to ask, whose idea was it for the orange barriers? It was just too much. And I mean, the calls, I know myself, I'm pretty sure council as a whole has gotten a lot of calls. It just was a bit distasteful, and it made the area look like a war had taken place, and that's just not the truth. On the flip side of it, I hear a lot of people saying that they weren't minors at all. So how did we decipher if it was minors first, and what were the purpose of the orange barriers besides actually stopping patrons from going in the stores and enjoying the establishments?
The orange barriers were placed there because people were pulling up in their personal vehicles serving juveniles alcohol.
On the curb?
The cars, yes. So it was decided, to put orange barriers up there to try to stop that function.
Okay, thank you for that answer. Now, as you're aware of, the codified ordinance already has curfews, and they do exist, but to this day, they're really not enforced due to the shortage of the department. So how are we ensure by taking these drastic measures that would be any different, and we'd be able to implement and really ensure that we can handle it at this point? Because we do have a curfew. We've always had a curfew, but we have never been able to fully, really hold children or the youth, anyone 18 or under, to that. How would now be any different?
Well, back when the codified ordinance first came out with the curfew, back in, when I was first hired, way back when, we had 210 officers, and so we had details.
Absolutely.
Details. Right now, I'm 35 officers short, and so therefore, we can't answer calls and enforce curfews too. But however, since the situation has arisen to a point of concern, we have to try to do something. And so what we're doing with our different grants that we have gotten, we're forming like different details to get out there, and we do curfew details, we do everything. So that's why, we're focusing not so much on curfew, but we're focusing on juvenile safety.
That was to my point, Commissioner, because I know at one point we had the complement to achieve this, but now I know we don't.
Right.
And we have officers at Giants, we have officers already spread too thin, and as you know, we just got to get our people to take the test, right? Like
Right.
It's something I've been screaming and kicking and screaming for a while. Until we can figure out how that's done, how would we be able to manage something if we currently can't manage the curfews as they sit? And I don't want to beat a dead horse, but
Detail, we run a special detail, an extra duty detail, and officers they are volunteer, and they come in on their own time, and they work the detail.
and it won't, I don't, once again, I hate to beat a dead horse. It won't be stop and frisk-esque. It won't really be impeding on like constitutional rights. It'd be like case-to-case base. We got a call. We showed up to 17 from Regina Street. There's a couple of youngins out here. Hey, where you guys going? Is that what I'm hearing, or will it be
Yes, they won't.
club owners
Excuse me,
like,
Counselor.
Commissioner, they're down here again, and you guys are like all cars down looking for juveniles? Because that's what we kind of want to avoid, especially if we're trying to make amends with the relationship between the juveniles and the city, and give them things to do and have them as productive as possible. I'm not going to say counterproductive, but it's like a curveball when it already sits. What would be the difference between already enforcing the curfew we have now instead of just raising the penalty? Why couldn't we just really go hard and enforce as it is now?
We are not trying to arrest any juveniles.
No, that wasn't the question. I'm sorry, Commissioner. What I mean is, instead of changing anything in the ordinances, why couldn't we just come to a kumbaya and agreement? It's like, hey, let's just really go in on the curfew now. Like, let's just really, what's already there. We don't really have to change it or threaten parents, because it's already hard for a lot of our parents to make ends meet. Me being one of them with 5 kids, putting them through college. I'm just trying to be, call a spade a spade. Upping those fines might even, someone could lose their house if they got to pay between their mortgage and their son might have had a bad night one night. He might have just needed some guidance. Why couldn't we just kind of really enforce as it sits now and kind of all make an agreement like, hey, let's just really enforce the curfew now that we know we have XYZ problems? Why do we really need to adjust?
That's all that we're trying to do now is enforce the curfew that is presently here.
Correct.
Okay.
Without the need
And
to like adjust or.
As far as the final cost, you know, like the final cost is what is said here. I didn't make it up. It was already here.
Right.
So.
Well, what I'm saying is without increasing or adjusting or adapting, why couldn't we just all say, hey, there's really a need right now to enforce the curfew? Because in my opinion, if there's anything we need to adjust, it would be the illegal dumping, right? Let's raise that to send a message out, hey, don't tear our communities up, don't throw stuff in Miss Jackson's backyard. I think that needs to be raised, if anything, not like a curfew enforcement, just my opinion.
I respect that, sir, but the ball is in y'all's court because you will decide if the penalty's raised, not me.
Okay.
You know, the only thing that we're here to do is talk about the
Present
curfew.
it.
And the curfew's been here since when?
Absolutely. Oh, yeah, long time. And then, Commissioner, what about unhoused juveniles? How would that play a role if they don't have a residence?
Well, it's also in the ordinance right now, too. If we come across any unhoused juvenile, we're going to do everything that we can to get them into contact the county, the school district, and everybody that we can to make sure that they're off the street and that they're safe.
Will we offer a level of case management at that time if we engage in an
Yes.
unhoused juvenile? Okay.
Yes,
All right.
definitely.
Awesome.
Definitely. Go ahead.
We're going to try to get them with the necessary resource they need. And I understand, I mean, there are a lot out there.
Absolutely.
So they count surfing, whatever it is. So, I mean, it's not to penalize those. And we're focused so heavily on fines right now. The other amendment to that penalty section is the bottom end. It basically says that community services is now available as well, which the old ordinance did not do that. So that's another, and not to dig in people's pockets, and that's what we're not trying to do.
I respect that.
But that is another avenue to the problem as well.
And I don't want to come off as like the naysayer. And I respect what you guys are doing from the department all the way to the administration, to the mayor's office. And I mean, something has to be done, right? I just don't know if this is quite it when we already have something on the books that we can't quite fully enforce to begin with. But I do appreciate, because any little bit or even just this right now, spitballing ideas, I think is a big part of the work. So I do appreciate what you gentlemen are doing, and hopefully we can come to an even ground with it.
Yes.
Thank you. No further questions.
Councilwoman Ross.
Thank you, Councilman Jones, and good evening. Thank you both for being here tonight to explain the amendments for Bill 8 of 2025. I know that there have been some issues downtown. I know this is not just about downtown, as you pointed out. I know our juveniles or our youth, our young people. I hate to call them juveniles. That's already putting them in the system. They've been having some issues. There's been some trouble. My concern with it was just I don't want to be punitive about it. I don't want to place him in this box or this place. I feel like I see the good that's trying to come out of this amendment to it, but I can also see the phone calls made on them. I can see possible lawsuits coming from it just because I think it's going to get a little bit out of hand, although it's an amendment. It's something we already have in place, but I don't know. I really have some tough issues with the amendment. I don't know. I have a lot of questions I can't formulate. I have a lot of concerns. I just feel like there can be better resolutions, and I don't mind working on some with everybody, but trying to figure out what we can do. But I do feel like it's going to become punitive. I feel like these resources can be placed elsewhere. Like we have people speeding down Division Street. We have people speeding down State Street. And if we can use resources there instead of amending this and having more officers in place for this, which I think you said would happen.
No, I did not
I
say
thought that was, I heard somebody say that part.
I did not say that.
Okay. I don't know. I know this is just an amendment, but I can just see it going somewhere else, honestly.
I think the intention of the amendment was to give the police another tool in their toolbox to handle. I mean, people forget that these teens very easily at their age could get a disorderly conduct criminal charge. So I think the curfew aspect was a way to try to go away from criminalization, give the parents some input and say, because what is your mom gonna say if she gets a fine? You know, that's another deterrent that I think the goal was just to give the police another tool in their toolbox to be able to do something about the problem that was occurring. That was the intention of the way the amendment was written.
But Madam Solicitor, that tool exists already. That tool exists already. It's not like it's not there. The tool exists.
Right, but at the time with the things that occurred after National Night Out, changing the time was thought would help them, okay, if you're supposed to be home, get some of them off the street, you know what I mean, at an earlier time. This all, you know, like I said, the downtown area was the first focus. Now was just the whole city.
I just don't think it's gonna work. It hasn't. I think making this amendment isn't gonna make a difference because there's a bigger issue. We need to redirect our resources in different ways for our youth. We need to give them more opportunities. There's so many more things we could do, and this is just not the answer. This is not. It's more community involvement. It's more education. It's recreation centers. It's swimming pools that make sense.
I respect what you're saying.
It's all of those things. It's not amending a curfew that hasn't worked. That's not gonna work. It's just throwing. I don't know. It's a waste of time. And I hate to say it that way, and I love that you are trying to make this amendment and that you are trying to find a resolution to what is happening, and I respect you for that. Please know that I'm not coming at you in a way of trying to be disrespectful or trying to be hard on you about this. I'm just saying I feel like there's other resolutions to honestly help these youth in our city who are having a tough time, and they have for years, and it has stemmed from the beginning of social media. It has stemmed from how schools are not meeting their needs. They're not meeting them where they're at. It's all of these things, and it does fall on us. But this curfew is not gonna help. It's not gonna change anything. If anything, the problem's gonna get heightened.
I respect what you're saying.
Thank you.
We're trying just like you, and I don't take things personal. I'm no politician. I'm just a police officer, so I don't take things personal. We are trying.
Yep.
But I think that the overall picture is that, you know, we're trying to help parents to get their kids off of the street too, because nobody wants to charge a parent for their kids' actions.
Right.
Because a lot of parents, you know, they're really good parents and they try really, really hard, you know? But it's already in the city ordinance. I mean, I didn't put it there.
Right.
City council put it there. So, you know, we're just trying to do something. And if you're saying, you know, that you're not happy with it, well, my office is open every day. Come and see us, so, you know, we can all sit down. We can try to hash things out. And if we could come up with a better plan, then that's fine.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I think, and I understand what you're saying. You want the parents to come and get their kids or giving them an incentive to do so. And I understand that, but it's like sometimes we're asking people to go get their kids, but who went and got them? You can't ask someone to go get somebody when they've never came and gotten, or someone came and helped them. It's a lot, it's so many pieces. It's a lot, and I get it, but it's so many pieces, and I know this may not be how it wanted to be phrased, but when it is. It is. I don't know. It's not for me, but I get it. Thank you. I respect you. Respect you both for coming. That's it for me.
Council President Hill.
Thank you. I just wanted to read the amendment for everybody's hearing because we talked about the fines and we talked about the community service. So I just wanted to read it, and then I do have a question. Amendments to the Public Safety Code, Part 3 of Title 3 of the Codified Ordinances for the City of Harrisburg is hereby amended as follows. Title 3, Public Safety, Subtitle, General Offenses. Part 3, that's 3-330, General Offenses. Chapter 3-333. Section 3-333.2 definitions, the following words and phrases, whenever used in this chapter, shall be construed and defined as follows. After hours, the period of time between the hours of 9 p.m. and 6 a.m. on Sunday through Thursday nights during the school year, and 11 p.m. and 6 o'clock a.m. on Friday and Saturday nights during the school year, and all nights during the period of summer vacations from school. So I'll stop there because I'm curious to know how these after hours were determined.
How the times were determined?
Yes.
I believe that they were determined because when school starts, the hours are, I think, at 10 p.m., but on the weekends, they're like 12 midnight. And so what we were trying to do is just uniform everything and just make it one time the whole year round.
Okay. I'm still not sure I understand, but okay. The next part is section 3-333.99 entitled penalty, subsection B. Any minor or parent who violates any provision of this chapter is guilty of a summary offense and, upon conviction thereof, shall be subject to a fine in an amount of $300 for the first offense, a fine in an amount of $500 for the second offense, and a fine in an amount of $1,000 for any subsequent offense in the same calendar year. In the sole discretion of the court, any penalty for an offense of this ordinance may be satisfied or otherwise avoided through the offender's successful completion of community service as determined by the court, which was mentioned earlier. I think there is a typo here, though, but I'll address that with the Law Bureau. I don't have any more questions. I'm still not. So you're saying the hours were determined based on the school year?
In the past, yes.
Okay. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. I don't have any other questions. Thank you.
Vice President Green.
Thank you, Councilman Jones. A lot of my questions have kind of already been discussed some. I don't know if I'm satisfied with all the answers, but I kind of understand where each side is coming from. I understand the police's desire. I also understand the residents' concerns as well as council's concerns. I guess for me, ideally, walk me through the process. Like, what does it look like? Somebody calls about a group of kids on the playground, the Cloverly playground on Ralston Street. What happens next? Because, I mean, honestly, this is for the whole city, but our response time's not exactly so fast. So by the time cops get there, where are the kids at now? You know, like, walk me through the process. I call and say, hey, it's a group of 10 kids making a whole bunch of ruckus. It's 1 o'clock in the morning. What next?
So once we're dispatched there, we would walk up and have a conversation with them. And again, like the commissioner says, it's not like we're going to stop and frisk them. But, I mean, according to the ordinance, and this is typically what we do, is we'll have a conversation with you. If you're close to your house, if you live on Regina Street and you're right there, then obviously it's like, okay, so the park hours, we discuss that stuff and then send them on their way. I can tell you those conversations happen every day. Whether they're juveniles or not, we're having conversations with people as we deal with them to try to get that solved. In particular, when we start dealing with our youth, we try to make every effort to get them back to where they came from, because the process to go through to issue a citation, to have somebody come pick them up, to run through that whole process, it takes an officer on the street for about an hour and a half, if not 2 hours, depending on how long it takes for somebody to get back to get there to get them. So we're trying to get them back home without running through that process. If we can do that, that's exactly what we do. If we have no choice, then we're trying to find out other avenues. The citation is absolutely the last thing that I guarantee that they're doing. The last thing that they're doing.
Okay. That's the ideal situation, right? You pull up, lights on, they stand
No
there
lights.
and wait. No lights. All right. So we
No
pull
lights.
up with no lights.
I can
All
tell
right.
you we get.
That's a very important
Yeah.
distinction.
Yep.
So we pull up with no lights, the kids stay there. Most of the kids I know are gonna run.
Correct.
What happens?
We're not chasing them.
Okay.
And for a summary offense, we're not chasing them. It's just not happening.
Now, will there be additional training for officers? You know, because with this, there are gonna be a lot more interactions with juveniles, with kids, with young people in our city, with people that might not be as young as they look in our city. It's gonna be a lot more interactions, and people are not just gonna be so polite. If I'm 18 years old and you pull up on me talking about, why aren't you home? I might not just be like, oh, well, I'm not home because I'm only 18, I'm 18 years old. You know, like, it might not just be the most peaceful interaction because people are gonna be offended by it.
No, right. And I'm not gonna say those conversations start like that. I can tell you, me personally, I've never really started a conversation like that. I'm like, hey, how you doing? You know, what's going on? Why are we here? You know what I mean? So, and then get into the age and stuff like that. I mean, I want to know, because there may be underlying issues to that, not to get too deep into that, but there may be other issues that are involved as to what brings them there. You know what I mean? So if we got the time to do that. So, but again, I mean, I lost track of where I was going with that, so I'm sorry.
I'll take it back, training, increased training for officers.
Thank you, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
I'm focused on trying to get the microphone close enough. So yes, we would do roll call trainings. All three platoons would hit it. We would announce that, explain that to them, and then obviously we have quarterly trainings every year, and this could be something that could be included into that as well.
Okay. I guess something else. Number of officers. How many officers go to the scene in this instance?
In that one, it is hard to say. There are down times where you, in an area like that, where you may draw three district cars. There may be times where it may only take two. I can tell you that an overnight hour, you're going to get at least two. So, but it will not exceed. I mean, if we get a call, one of the ones that stick in my mind is someone they called about what they determined to be juvenile standing on a corner. So, I mean, you're gonna ride through. Obviously, if we're delayed getting there and they're not there, it's gonna take one car and that's gonna end the problem. If they're there, we walk up. It's gonna, at a minimum two. So, and that's for our safety as well as theirs as well.
All right. And then I think this will probably be my last question for the moment, unless I think of something else. Realistically, I know you said that this has been working. I think it's been working maybe in the downtown area, because what I seem to observe is more kids throughout the city later at night, right? So what determines it's working? Like, how do we measure that it's working? Is it by the number of citations we write? Is it by the number of citations we don't write? Is it by the number of calls we get? Or, like, how do we measure it? Like, what is success? Is success less juvenile interactions? Is success,
Every opportunity to interact with actually anybody is, I mean, obviously it depends on the circumstances. Could be a positive one. So, I mean, that's sort of kind of where I go. If I had to gauge success, it would be the call volume dropping on that particular section, or the amount of calls that we get down on that. So, I mean, when we run that at the end of the year and go, okay, so we have 15 less calls than we did the prior year. I mean, that to me would be, that means we're moving in the right direction with that.
Okay.
I don't think citations is the way to gauge
I don't think
that.
it is either, because
Right.
obviously citations would increase if you're increasing enforcement, right?
Right.
So we might measure it by number of calls throughout the city, not
Correct.
just in downtown.
Not just downtown, throughout the city.
Since this is something we've obviously been looking at, here's another question. Since it's something we've obviously been looking at, do we have any idea what the number of calls are throughout the city? Like downtown particular, and then throughout the city? Because this was started due to incidents downtown and then expanded to throughout the city. So do we have, like, if the number's 10 to start with, what are we getting it down to?
Right. So, I mean, I don't have those in front of me. So once I got it walked in here, I'm going, I probably should have brought that with me. But I don't have those with me. Can I get those? Absolutely. And then, I mean, you can break it down to a street in the city if you wanted to. I mean, but I can narrow that down to whatever scope I'm looking at. So, I mean, if you take if this gets enacted and we go, okay, so where were we at same time last year with the same amount of time? I mean, obviously, it's going to have to take time for you to get some sort of gauge on how that works or how that doesn't work.
Right. Okay. For the moment, that's all I have. Thank you all for being here tonight. I will say I think this is a broader conversation that we need to have on how we address different issues going on with our youth throughout the city, not just based off of, you know, hanging out downtown, finding different things for them to do, different places for them to go, addressing some of those underlying issues, providing more counseling, more community support, more mentorship programs. There's a lot more that we can do for our youth. It's a population that's been neglected in our country for many years because our focus is always on different things. We talk about gun violence, and we talk about how now gun violence is really targeting our youth, and how many of our youth, it's getting younger and younger for them that are carrying guns. We talk about access to guns, but we don't talk about real prevention methods. You know, I know we have like the gun violence, or group violence intervention grants, and we kind of have credible messengers. It seems like it's just like a little bit of here, a little bit of there, a little bit of there, but no like real whole focus. And I'm not just blaming, you know, I'm not putting it on the Harrisburg Police Department. I'm putting it on our nation as a whole to really address how our kids are getting these guns, why our kids are using these guns, why they feel like they need protection. We need to talk about bullying, because I see a lot of kids that I work with, young men that go into the juvenile justice system because they felt like they needed to carry a gun because they got robbed. I have a young lady that used to be on my step team. Her and her son, who's only 4 years old, just got robbed at gunpoint in Harrisburg the other day. How's that young man not going to feel like he needs to grow up and have a gun when he's been, you know, approached with guns since he was a baby? So these are things that we have to address in a holistic approach. I don't think the curfew is the end-all, be-all. I don't think it's the only tool that we can use. I think we have lots of tools, but we have to start thinking outside of the box and not just be reactive and have these conversations when something happens, but we have to have the conversations beforehand to try to prevent them. It should be a partnership between the county, between the schools, between the parents, the community, everyone coming together. And it's time for us to make sure we're putting our money where our mouth is, not just during the summertime, because kids need places to go all the time. The Boys and Girls Clubs aren't enough. It's just not enough capacity. It's not enough resources out there, and we need to make sure that we're providing those resources and providing those mentorship opportunities for all of our kids, not just our little boys, but our little girls too, because a lot more of them are really facing that nowhere to go type thing. I listen to kids tell stories about how they were out at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning at so-and-so's house, and I'm like, how are your parents allowing that? Well, because my mom works midnight at Amazon, so who's really there to watch that? So, you know, these are all things that we have to really address and do the best that we can. We all say it takes a village to raise a child, but it seems like the village seems to be falling apart. This could go all the way back to the fact that housing is unstable for many people. They bounce from community to community. We're not having that village that we used to have. We don't have those homes that we used to have. So it's important for us to try to come together and really create that environment in the city of Harrisburg to address those things. So I won't go on and on. I thank you all for being here tonight, and hopefully we can do what we need to do to keep our youth and our community safe.
Thank you.
Councilwoman Davis.
Thank you, Councilman Jones, and thank you, gentlemen, for being here. My questions have been answered. I know your passion. I know you are concerned about the youth in the city, and you don't want to see, none of us want to see any harm come to them. So I can appreciate the initiative to try to, this as a deterrent, but like my colleague said, why can't we just stick with what we have now and enforce it? Yeah, there's a lot of moving parts to this. And I do like what Vice President Green mentioned with the mentorship for our youth. I think we need more of that. But thank you again for being here this evening. Thank you for your concern, and I don't have anything else. Thank you.
Councilwoman Daniels.
She said that her internet is glitching, but she shared a comment and a question, so I'll read that. Her comment is that these fines are higher than what we fine slum landlords, so I find them unreasonable. And her question is, given the city's collaboration agreement with ICE, is this a pretext to stop people city policy would otherwise not be able to stop?
Can you say that last part over again about
Sure.
ICE?
Her question is, given the city's collaboration agreement with ICE, is this a pretext to stop people city policy would otherwise not be able to stop?
No, we have no collaboration with ICE. This has
Can you
nothing-
speak into the microphone?
Sorry, ma'am.
In case she can hear you, I'm not sure if she can hear, but
This has nothing to do with ICE. We do not collaborate with ICE or anything like that. This is a concern for our juveniles and safety for our juveniles. That's all that it is. No more, no less. We just try to build on the current curfew policy that we have. That's all that we try to do.
she can hear you. I'm just going to clarify if she has any other questions. I don't think so, if you wanted to.
All right, thank you. If no one else has any more questions,
Yes, Councilman Jones, may I?
Sure.
Just a statement. We have a lot of ordinances currently that are not being enforced, or we start enforcing them, we start off on a good track. For example, the cars that park on the sidewalks all over the city, there are a lot of things that we can't fully control. I mean, we can get started, but we can't, apparently you don't have enough officers, or the police force cannot enforce everything that's under your jurisdiction. That's what I'm saying. And this seems like it will just be one more thing added. We get off to a good start, and anything that we can do to deter our children, to save them, to help them is important. But the continued follow through on a lot of these issues is what concerns me, that we're not able to do that. Thank you. Thank you, Councilman Jones.
All right, thank you, Councilwoman Davis. So, gentlemen, here's where I am. Listening to what you guys said, again, I appreciate your strive and your concern for the safety of our citizens, our residents, myself included and my colleagues included. We really appreciate it. But I also heard a lot of concerns from the community, and now I hear several from my colleagues. So what I want to do is keep this in committee, and we can do something together. I think everyone has some input. That I heard a lot of ideas up here, and I think that we can tweak this in a way where we can appease all stakeholders. So I want to keep this one in committee, and we'll be in touch with you. I'll definitely reach out to you guys, speak with my colleagues, and I believe we can come to a common ground on this. All right?
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Thank you all.
Mr. Parker, can you please read Resolution 51 of 2025?
Yes. Resolution 51 of 2025. A resolution ratifying the submission of a grant application to the Pennsylvania Office of the State Fire Commissioner's Municipal Fire Department Capital Grant Program and authorizing the City of Harrisburg to execute any agreements, forms, and documents related to the award of $83,475 for the purpose of funding the renovation of bathroom facilities at Fire Station 2, located at 140 North 16th Street.
Thank you. Do we still have Chief Enterline? All right. Business Administrator, interim Business Administrator Solkowski here as well. Chief Enterline, shoot. You can go ahead and...
This was a grant program that the state came out with 2 years ago. We applied this year, and we're one of 7 fire departments, only one of 7 fire departments across the Commonwealth that were awarded funding for capital projects in fire stations. So these were very specific projects that they were looking for, and we put our grant packet together around that remodel of the bedroom and bathroom facilities at Station 2.
All right. Pretty clear cut for myself. I really don't have any questions. And do we still have Councilwoman Daniels? And she still can't hear. I mean, she could probably hear us, but if she does, I'll just skip past her and I'll start with Councilwoman Davis if you have any questions.
Thank you, Councilman Jones. No questions for me.
Vice President Green,
I don't have any questions regarding this. Thank you.
President Hill,
No questions. Thank you.
Councilwoman Rosdown,
No, I don't have any questions.
Councilman Rodriguez.
No questions for me.
And did we get any response from Councilwoman Daniels?
No.
All right. You have anything to add, Mr. Sokolsky?
No, Chief Enline pretty much wrapped it up pretty neatly. I think it's impressive that we're one of 7 fire departments in the state that got this, so I commend him for that and thank him for his public service and willing to be with us from Massachusetts. So.
That's right. Bring some fish back. So, if no one has any more questions or concerns, I would ask that Resolution 51 of 2025 be moved to our next legislative session, and I would ask my colleagues to support it. Thank you.
Thank you. We will now move forward with our meeting agenda. Next, we have public comment. So just a few housekeeping notes before we begin. Please state your name and your address for the meeting record. If you don't feel comfortable sharing your address, please share the vicinity in which you live within the city. You will have 4 minutes to share your comments. Mr. Parker will serve as our timekeeper, and I'll begin to my right. Is there anyone that would like to offer public comment?
Good evening, council members. My name is Robert Williams, Capitol Heights area of Harrisburg. The amount of hypocrisy I had to sit through and stomach, it was nauseating, I swear. To listen to Chief Federline say what they could and couldn't do because of Act 47 and the law, and then to hear the commissioner and the deputy talk about ordinances, it was very upsetting to me, I will not lie. Because for them to talk about teenagers following an ordinance, when they don't follow the ordinances themselves. We have economic development and housing director who is operating illegally under our ordinance, and also the business administrator under our ordinance. They don't follow the law, but they expect juveniles to follow the law. They also don't know the law. This commissioner said, well, we'll just talk to people. The kids don't have to talk to them. They only have to give their age. They have a constitutional right not to talk. And I would tell every kid to go down to the corners that they claim these ordinances already existed. Of course they already existed. So what's the need for the change? No, the need is the optics. The optics that make it look as if the mayor is finally doing something. This has been an issue for years, but months leading up to the election, now we have this affordable housing plan that's not accurate under the ARPA law because it says 36 months and the money has to be spent by December 31st of 2026. We have the downtown revitalization. We have, what else? Oh, I already said the grant. All these things is nothing but optics leading up to the election to act as if the mayor is doing something. Ordinance 3, Title 3, 301, which is the Citizen Complaint Ordinance. I filled it out January 29th. I haven't heard anything. Let me go into what I wrote. All right. On January 27th, Harrisburg police officer Joshua Appleby, Corporal Esteban Restrepo, and Tyler Glunt came to my house. They entered without a warrant, used excessive force, and unlawfully arrested me in front of my 17-year-old son. I suffered a torn labrum, deep lacerations, and permanent scarring on my forehead, arms, and wrists, and I was forced to complete 4 months of physical therapy. My son was traumatized by watching this assault in our home. On January 29th, I filed a citizen's complaint under Harrisburg City Code 3, Title 3, 301. And my son's mother filed her own complaint on my son's behalf. That ordinance requires that every complaint be logged, assigned a tracking number, investigated by Internal Affairs, reviewed by the chief of police, and the complaint receive a written notice of outcome, which I have not seen or I have not received any of those things. It is now September 2nd, more than 7 months later, and we have not received anything, no tracking number, no internal affairs finding, no written determination from the chief. Meanwhile, in the quarterly reports the council receives every quarter, the complaints, all other complaints have been marked resolved. The only two left open are mine and my son's mother, both of this since January 27th. I also want on the record to reflect that I have body-worn camera footage of January 27th incident that clearly shows abuse and misconduct by these police officers. This is the third time since March that I have come before you guys. At this point, the record clearly shows the violation of Section 3-301 and failure of Commissioner Carter and administration to follow the law. Tonight I am here asking council and specifically Public Safety Chair Lamont Jones to act as I request that you schedule a Public Safety Committee hearing within 30 days requiring Commissioner Carter, IA Detective Fetzer, the Chief's Deputy, IA Chief Fetzer, I'm messing up, I'm sorry. IA Detective Fetzer and testify why 301 is not being honored. Direct the administration to provide within 14 days my complaint, tracking number, internal affairs status, the chief's written determination, public explanation why these two complaints remain unresolved while others have been closed. Thanks for allowing me to speak.
Thank you. Is there anyone else to my right that would like to offer public comment?
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Libby Prophet, and I'm here primarily for several reasons, but as a community advocate and as a consultant. There's a property at 1321 North Cameron Street. It is a long vacant property. We want to turn it into a vibrant, inclusive housing development, maybe 6 to 12 unit, 1 to 2 family. It's a project I just started working on, and there's lots of support. I'm here this evening. If you guys have anything that you want to add, let me know so that we can include it in our development. I understand there's, you need ADA, and there's certain requirements that the city would like to have their new building structure to consist of. And if you guys have any idea, I'm here to get your advice as to what I should do into getting this project up and going within the criteria that you think will be best for the city. Thank you.
Thank you. Do you mind stating your address or sharing the vicinity in which you live within the city?
I do live at 2025 Chestnut Street. Again, my name is Libby Prophet. I'm a property owner, so that makes me a stakeholder in everything that you guys do. I'm a veteran. My qualification is, I can't speak for myself, God has to do that. Anyways, I'm here to do this project, and there's many other things that I do as a consultant. I'm the one that wrote the strategic plan to get the first African-American president in the White House. Yes, we can, came from me. I also advocated for medical marijuana during the time, I think, I can't remember the female mayor that we had after Reed. But I got here from Germany and I hit the ground. I think I worked with our current mayor in the past when I was advocating for something that I didn't want my brown sons to be arrested for smoking weed. And so I've done a lot of work for the city, working with Poppin' Foods and other administration, or I should say they worked with me. I did the work and they got the credit. Nevertheless, when you get work, you get paid, and I get paid every day. I'm here. If you have any questions, I want this project to be something that the city can be fully aware about, something that it would reflect what you want for the future. I grew up in Brooklyn, and I went there the other day, and I saw my neighborhood 40 years ago is no longer how it used to be. So I have an insight as to how I would like this neighborhood that my grandchildren now call home to be, and I would also like your input. And any advice, guidance, support, I greatly appreciate it.
Thank you. Is there anyone else to my right that would like to offer public comment?
Thank you, council members. I'm sorry for keeping you even later on such a late night. My name's Robert Drago, and I live at 1002 North 6th Street. That's next door to Jackson House and Bethel Village. I have Midtown Zone 2 on-street parking, which is a fairly small zone, and it includes Bethel Village. City Council Resolution number 60 to 2021 states in part, whereas with regard to parking, the applicant will have 4 parking spaces on site. Those exist at present. And in conformance with a special exception granted by the zoning hearing board, will have 15 additional spaces within 400 feet of the property. I did not believe those 15 spaces would be provided, and I've since had that confirmed. I have asked in person if there are additional parking spaces. Since I'm next door, I just walked over and asked. And they said, no, it's permit parking only. And additionally, the advertisements for Bethel Village state that parking is by street permit only. So I would request that the city enforce the agreement with Bethel Village, and I'd like to submit these into the record. Or I'm not sure about
it. Thank you. Is there anyone else to my right that would like to offer public comment? Okay, no one else on the right. Is there anyone else in the middle section that would like to offer public comment? Okay, anyone to my left? Go ahead. That's fine. As long as the microphone is on, and if you could push it towards you, that'd be great. If you have something you'd like to share, if you wouldn't mind sharing them with Mr. Parker, and then he can distribute them while you're speaking. Thank you.
Good evening. I am Gene Stilp, Director of No TMI Restart with members in Harrisburg. News of Constellation Energy's restart of 3 Mile Island, scheduled for 2027, is now a year old. In case you need an update, Constellation Energy wants to reopen 3 Mile Island Unit 1 and has already contracted with Microsoft to sell all the power generated here to Microsoft data centers in Northern Virginia, near Dallas Airport. 2 of the biggest corporations get the power and the profits, while we here in Dauphin County and other counties are left with the risk of becoming the slaves of Constellation and Microsoft. As a city council member, you have to plan for this day and age for unfortunate risks: school shootings, threats, actual city shootings, nearby chemical fires, floods, especially in water and weather emergencies, prison riots, business and corporate closings. Your job is to prepare for those risks, but in those areas you have to, where you can minimize risk or eliminate the risk, your duty is to do so. In regard to 3 Mile Island, welcome to the age where you get the risk and without any say in the matter. Or I forgot, you get to evacuate the area. While evacuation plans are necessary for various emergency situations, evacuations for radiological emergencies are in a category of their own. These events can mean that evacuating may have a probability of long-term removal from the area and a possibility of not returning to the area. In other words, the risk factor is very high, and you get to pay for this evacuation plans and their execution. Schools, all the buses, all the teachers, personnel, and are asked to comply without any say. All your police, fire, civil service bureaus have to be ready to leave. Earlier this year, the Dauphin County Public Safety Department sent school districts a letter saying that the school has to mandatorily comply. Did the schools get a grant from the county, state, federal agency, or any other source? No. Actually, there's no federal law that says they have to comply. The fact is that no federal law says you have to comply. You have the right to say, wait a minute, what do we get out of this? The Harrisburg residents are once again asked to pay for a program which the corporation should be paying for. Constellation gives you nothing for your cooperation. Microsoft gives you nothing. FEMA gives you nothing, and all that and they are playing with your children's lives and your citizens' lives. I'm not joking about the rate, and I'm not just talking about radiation exposure. The mere getting on a bus or private transportation and being transported to some far-off location is one aspect. The total confusion of the evacuation transport planning is another. Widespread evacuation is impossible. Just go out in Interstate 83 on any given day. The previous evacuation plans, which I have attached to your copies, does not even plan for high-rise residents who mostly rely on public transportation, nursing homes, nursery schools, prisoners, and many other sites, many others. Does your Public Safety Committee have a plan already that you have not seen? Does your Public Safety Committee have a plan ready that you have not seen, or in regard to this one? The bottom line is this: you are not required by law to serve the needs of Constellation or Microsoft corporations. You can eliminate the risk, the giant risk that they want you to take, that you want to shoulder, by saying no to Constellation. In the mid-1980s, a power company that served Long Island, New York, built a nuclear plant after 8 years. The Long Island counties of Nassau and Suffolk, and the city to their west, New York City, definitely could not be evacuated. The plant was ready to start producing power, but never did so because the evacuation plan never worked. The people said no. Harrisburg has mildly grown into economic development in the past 46 years since the first accident. There's no reason to jeopardize the current area. You have the power not to follow Constellation's demands. Then again, if you decide that, why shouldn't Constellation pay you a fee for your cooperation, say $100 million? Constellation and Microsoft are booming companies with tremendous payments to their shareholders. Shareholders make the money, you hold the bag.
Thank you, sir. Your
Thank you.
time has expired.
I just want to say that I'm glad to work with the Public Safety Director and talk about this in the future. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to offer public comment? Okay, seeing and hearing none, the time is 7:51 p.m. I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. We stand adjourned.
Okay, a couple of your classmates were here last week. Yeah.